girl.
Do you remember how old you were when he went away?
Um, I think when he went away, I must have been already 12 years old. I think I was, because in 19... He had to go to the army. Instead of going to the army, he went to Boston before he...
But who brought him to Boston? He had to have somebody bring him over.
Well, yes, that was the Singers.
The Singers were related to your mother.
Toby was a sister to my mother.
That's on the...
And to your mother.
That was on the Rabin side. Your mother's maiden name was Rabin, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I see.
And
yeah.
then she married a singer.
Yes. Now, do you remember my mother leaving to go to Scotland? Were you too young, or do you remember?
I just remember one thing. At that time, we did not... I was of age that she left me and went to the boat with Etty, with my mother, and Daddy's sister, and with her children. All I remember, that's all I can recall, but I never in time, I was too young to realize that mother was that your mother and Uncle Harry were one sister and brother, and we were born from the second.
Yes, I understand.
This is what I remember.
But you don't remember the aunt's name it was in Boston. It was Ross, the aunt's name who adopted her.
It wasn't adopted.
I mean, she went. Yeah, but what was her name? Well, look. There was...
all I know is her married name, Ross.
Yeah, well, would that be Rochaleia?
I don't know.
Because she was in Scotland, and Mum went to Scotland.
Well, then it's Rochaleia.
And then there was Sarah, was a sister. Did you know her? Your father's Sarah?
Father's sister. She was, I think she was in Ireland. She wasn't in Scotland.
Who?
Was she? Rochaleia.
I know I don't know. I thought it was Scotland. Wasn't it Edinburgh?
Could be.
I don't know. But your father had another sister called Sarah. All right. A brother called Label or Louis. Did you ever remember him?
No.
A brother called Meyer.
No. How many brothers?
Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4 brothers.
I only know the one in Toronto.
That was Israel.
They were already in Scotland.
Yeah. And here's another one called Hannah. It was a big family, but it doesn't say. It tells you when they were born, but it doesn't tell you where they went. You don't remember. Yeah.
It was never spoken in the house about the relatives.
It wasn't. Isn't that surprising?
Not like here.
Isn't that surprising? Yeah. I'll put a question mark. See, there was, it even says where some of them, like Rochaleia, got married in Latvia.
And what was her name?
Rochaleia. Rochaleia had. Her married name, it doesn't give it.
See, cousin Michal and Henry
were on your mother's side.
They, just a minute, let me think about it a little harder. Rochaleia. Michal's mother.
Yes.
was a rabbin,
That's what I thought, yeah.
and she married a Strul, not a Strab.
Oh.
Michel's name really was a Strul, but when they came to America, the girl, instead of the L, it looked like a B, so she made Strab,
And that's how the Strubs.
and that's the Strab came in.
Oh, that's interesting, Aunt Rose.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
And
Uh-huh.
Michel had a brother, Isidore,
Isidore
a,
and Henry.
a label, another brother,
I don't remember label, but there was Henry.
Henry, a label, and Isidore.
And how was Rocha Giedel related to?
That's the rabbin.
That's the Rabin side, yeah.
Yeah, that's the rabbin.
Yeah. That's why you think that Yitzchak Rabin was related to them?
Not I think, I am positive. He used to correspond with me.
Really?
He sent me a book. And when I lived in Miami, and when I worked for the bond drive,
Right.
you know, for 18 years, what I did when he came, Myers, Minister Myers,
Yeah.
and they and Rabin used to come to keep us in touch. And I worked in the office for the bond drive for Canada. I met them always at the breakfast table and the dinner table. And we were very close together. We were talking about, and he said, you know, Rosala used to call me Pigtail Girl. Used to call me Pigtail Girl. There is a Moshe Rabin in Africa, Johannesburg. And that Moshe, and there is a Yosel Rabin. And they came, he originally was in Africa. His family from Africa traveled and they came to, and this is about, he says, I would say the 7th generation.
This is Yitzchak is telling you this.
Yeah. Now he says, Chaim Rabin, Yankel Rabin, that was my first cousins, Moshe Rabin, and Yosel Rabin from Africa, and Yankel Rabin, and Chaim Rabin from Israel. They are third cousin. You are running into the 4th, the 5th, the 6th cousin. He says, but his ancestors come from the same country where we came.
Latvia?
Yeah, Latvia. Where we came.
Right.
And we used to be very friendly. Whenever he came, he looked, he always found in, you know, are you coming today to work in the office? I said, yes.
Now, who told you this? Yitzchak Rabin? Yitzchak
Yeah.
Rabin? So I see. So you really knew him quite well.
Oh yeah, I used to meet him.
See,
The
that's on her
average,
mother's side, yeah.
every other, I don't know how many times he came, but every other year,
I
you know.
see. Now, what book was it he gave you? Did he write a book?
He wrote a book, very interesting, about the whole family. And a neighbor of mine wanted to read it because her son lives in a kibbutz in Israel. And I loaned it her and I never got it back.
Oh, that's too bad. I wonder if it could still be found.
No. She's this woman is in a home. Her mind is gone.
Oh, isn't that too bad?
I never got it back.
Too bad. Too bad.
What's the
Her
book?
book
Uh,
and Freeman from Ottawa. Do you remember
Freeman. Yeah.
Mrs. Freeman?
It's very familiar. Why?
She was presented to the Queen. She used to bring out hundreds and hundreds of refugee children,
Right.
and she used to come when anybody came to Guelph to speak to the college, stayed with us. So, and she had a sister by the name Epstein in Hamilton,
Right.
and we got quite acquainted with her. And then what happened? Mrs. Freeman, she took sick and paralyzed, and they made they made an elevator in her house to take her up. She couldn't go anymore, traveling. But her husband did. Her husband died on the Willamette in Schul.
Is this Freeman you're talking about?
A.J. Freeman.
From Ottawa.
Hmm?
From Ottawa.
Yeah.
Did you know? Like, are we related to the Freemans?
Who?
Is there any relationship to the Freemans?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, or no family relationship.
No, when she had a girl by the name Esther, and they had to place the children in different homes. She placed that little Esther in our.
In your home.
I kept her till two brothers came.
For how long?
A.B., I don't remember the other name, and they got married, and they took the sister over with herself.
Because Aunt Rose, when I was in university in Ottawa, I
Yeah.
stayed with cousins of the Freemans.
Yeah,
Did you know who they were?
no, the cousins I don't.
Yeah, Tom and Edith Senman. He was a veteran of the war, and when I went to college, I lived in their house in Ottawa. So I didn't know that you knew the Freemans.
Oh, I
So
knew
that's
them
how
very well.
okay, you knew them well, and that's how my mother found a place for me to live in Ottawa, thanks to you.
Now,
That's my.
but what made you think of the Freemans? Were they weren't related?
To the children?
No, I meant Freeman.
Because of
me?
the bond
Yeah.
drive
No.
connection.
Or the bond drive.
No. Through the bond drive.
Yes. Isn't that interesting?
Through the bond drive. Very, very, very close, That's why they called me Pigtail Girl. If they wanted to know the name, they didn't know, and they used to say, "Well, if you call the hotel and ask for the bond office, and then ask for the Pigtail Girl."
And Rose, yeah.
Here is a picture with Comey, the ambassador.
With who?
A picture. No,
Which
no.
one? This one?
There is the ambassador,
From Israel?
me, and Jack.
David?
Where is Dave?
He's right here.
Okay, I can see it.
Here, I'll get it. She wants to show.
See?
Is
You know
that-
what they did? The ambassador wife, when she came to Guelph to talk to the college boys,
Yes.
she stayed with me.
Now, he was the ambassador.
Ambassador's wife.
Was he from Israel, the ambassador?
Yeah.
What's his name?
And then one day we had a dinner, a big dinner, maybe about 1,500 or 2,000 people in the Fontainebleau.
Oh my.
And I didn't know that they made an honor and called me up
Oh,
to
isn't that?
come. And they made a cake and they celebrated my 18 years service to the boundary.
Isn't that wonderful?
That's
Do you
the-
want to see it,
Yeah,
David?
I can see it from here. Let's hold it this way a little bit. Who's in the photograph?
Just a minute. Aunt Rose,
Yeah.
Uncle Jack, and the ambassador, what's
Oh, come in.
Comey.
Yeah.
And it's in honor of Aunt Rose's 18 years working for the bond drive.
Beautiful.
And there's a beautiful cake.
What year was that?
1, 2,
When was
3
that done?
cake. What year was this, Aunt Rose? Do you remember? What year was that?
Huh?
What year was that? It doesn't say. You look very nice.
She may not be able to hear you. Dear.
Yeah.
Just a minute. I should remember it. We came home 89. That must have been about in the late 70s.
That's in the late 70s. I think you're younger there.
Hmm?
I think it was earlier because you look much younger on the picture.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Do you know what I wanted to ask you, Aunt Rose?
Yeah.
Because the children don't know any of the stories of your life and Mama's life in Latvia, you see. And if you could just tell us a little about where, where, I know Mom was born in,
Mother was born in
wait a minute, I have it.
Pickle.
In Pickelen, and it was a small town
Yeah.
in
No
Latvia.
sidewalks.
No sidewalks?
Mud. In the spring and fall, you had to have rubber boots.
Now, were you
But
also born?
when I was a little girl,
Uh-huh.
about maybe 3 years old,
Yeah.
my father was a Latvian citizen. We moved out from
You moved to
to the city.
the city. Now, it was a small town, wasn't it? What
Yeah.
was your house like? Do you remember?
No, we had an upstairs, an
An
apartment.
apartment. And then you moved to Libau. Libau. Now,
With
was,
small children.
yeah. Now, is Libau on the ocean or not?
We lived right on the ocean.
Right out in the harbor.
Zeestraße. Zee means ocean.
Ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, and you
the
were on
Zee.
Ocean Street. Isn't that interesting?
The Zee in German
Uh-huh.
means ocean.
Oh, sure, the sea. Well, Aunt Rose, did you live there then? They never moved. They stayed there.
Okay.
They lived there. They never moved from there. So then you were near the ocean. And what kind of a house?
Now, at the ocean, an apartment.
Oh.
See, we had water, we had electric. It's a big city.
Right.
It was the size of Boston.
Oh, in Pickelen you didn't have that.
No.
Oh. So,
Gas,
Oh, yeah.
petroleum lamps.
in Pickelen. But
Yeah.
in there you had electricity. Now you must have had a big apartment with so many children.
You know, our mother, I'll tell you a little story about it. Our mother always finds place for her children. We had, Harry was away already. Harry didn't, he used to go to yeshiva, you know, for a Hebrew teacher. So we had Max, me, and Molly, the 4 children.
Well, no, then you had one.
Max had a little room, and the 3 children
Slept together.
slept together in one room.
And there was another little girl who died. Yeah.
I'll tell you about Mrs. Kamei,
Okay.
a little story.
That's the ambassador's wife.
Mrs. Kamei came to Guelph. Guelph, you know, has a big university, to talk to the students. And she ran in to a difficulty. People asked her questions and she answered very intelligently. But there was one guy that we all knew he hates the Jew. He tells you right there, you know, he hates you. And he came to listen to also to Mrs. Kamei. And he put a question to her. I shall never forget it. The hall was an orange hall. The orange hall, belonged to a society, you know. And he said to her, Honorable Mrs. Kamei, I'd like to ask you a question. She said, okay. Well, what is the question? Israel is a very little country. And it takes in all the people who wants to come. And they find place for them. In America, here, they have to make out papers and show that they will not come to public charge. Where do you put them? He really got stuck for a minute. He says, if you give me a few seconds, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to light a cigarette and have a little smoke and to get relaxed. And then I'll tell you. Okay, so somebody comes up, she had a cigarette, a light. No, she had a lighter, and she tried to light and pretended that it doesn't work. So a man came up, offered, and lighted. In that time, she had a chance to think. She says, Mr. McIsaac, are you ready for my answer? He said, yes. She says, you know, a mother gives birth to one child, and she only has 3 rooms. And she gives birth to another child. She still has 3 rooms. And she carries on and she has 6. But she has place for them. She doesn't quit. Israel is our mother. And our mother has place for all of her children of Europe.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's open to her. Whoever wants to come, they find place for them.
Smart woman. Beautiful story.
So so America is not a mother. America is a country with rules and regulations. They refuse people and they make them wait 2 years, 3 years to get a visa to prove that they're honest people, they're worthy to come to Canada. But we don't have to be open. We are a mother, and a mother finds place for her children.
Right.
The mother will sleep on the floor and give the child a bed.
Right.
And they nearly broke the wall from applause.
Well, it was the same in Europe then, when you had all the children, you found room for them.
I found room for them.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
How big an apartment was it? Do you remember?
Well, it's the same.
Couple of bedrooms?
The same, you
Same.
know.
Yeah.
We slept in a single room, in a single bed.
Sure.
2 children,
Three
one on top, one on the bottom, and one on.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know that your mother reminded me when I came, when Uncle Jack was there?
Yes.
Uncle Jack stayed with Sydney, and you and Ruthie and I slept in one bed.
Oh, I didn't know. I remember you
So
coming.
your fisalach used to come into my mouth. I used to tickle it.
Oh, isn't that funny? It's a cute story. Well, Aunt Rose, then you went to school in Liebau? You went to school there? Yeah. Well, did you go to a high school? How far did you go?
Well, they call it gymnasium,
Oh,
like
yes,
here high
gymnasium.
school.
Right.
Yeah.
And you went to the...
And then I came to Boston and I graduated night high.
I see. But what made you leave to go to Boston?
Hmm?
Why did you go to Boston? Because Harry was there?
Yeah. He wrote that, I don't know whether I wrote or he wrote,
All right, yes, I understand.
or my cousin, Max was a wealthy man.
Who was that?
He wrote,
Max
but
Singer?
I came to Boston,
Max Singer?
by the singers.
Aunt Rose, what did your father do actually in business? What did he do to earn a living?
Well, the first thing we had is a little, they call it a colonial store, a grocery,
Oh,
everything. My mother ran it. And my father was a designer. In Europe, you don't buy a pair, go in and buy a pair of shoes. In the little city, in the little town, there is a designer who makes the top, and then there are shoemakers who makes it. It's made to measure.
uh-huh.
In other words, he was made to measure.
Oh, then he took the design and he made the shoes. Now, did he do that in Liebau too, or did he not?
Yeah.
And your mother ran the grocery store. So they managed to make a living.
Absolutely.
Do you ever remember a time when you were very poor or very well off, or just,
No.
you just made a nice living,
A poor living.
a poor living? Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
my mother was very well talented. If somebody's having a party from the rich people, they call my mother to make the cakes,
Oh, she
the
was,
plate,
oh, really?
and to make the kreplach.
Yeah.
I make krepler.
Yeah, so
I-
you take after your mother. You know how to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother didn't know how to cook, but when she married Dad, she became a very good cook.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, then, Aunt Rose, when you told me a story that at the harbor, when war broke out, something about a cannon went off. You were all sitting in the dining room.
Oh yeah, that was she.
Tell David about that.
You
one.
know, we lived like Ocean Drive.
Yes,
Ocean Drive,
in Florida.
and from Ocean Drive it runs Lincoln,
Yes.
Collins.
Washington,
Yeah, in Florida, right.
cross. This is the ocean, and this is the street. We lived on Zee Street. The Zee means the ocean.
The Ocean Street, right on the ocean.
No, it's the street.
Oh,
Here is the ocean, and
the
here
street
is the
going on.
street.
Yes, I see.
We lived here. The boat, we had the ocean, and the attacks, when the boat came in, they blew up shrapnels,
Shrapnel.
and we were sitting, it was Saturday, and lucky enough nobody was sitting here, and it lifted the tablecloth and landed
You mean the shot?
in the wall, but it didn't explode. See, the wall was soft and landed. And that's after that we had to vacate. And so we used to go with a covered wagon, like they call it here, in the winter time, in the country, to live in the country. And then naturally that was broken the education.
Sure.
When was that, Aunt Rose? When was that?
What year was that?
That was the 1918 year.
The First World War.
Yeah, 1918. I was
Near the
then,
end of the war.
I believe I was then 14 years old.
Uh-huh. When were you born?
Oh no, I wasn't. I was older than that.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute.
Could be
There
the
was
start.
there was a war before.
1914.
There was a war before.
There
There
were-
was a war in 1914.
The Crimean War.
1914. So you must have been
14 years old.
14 years old. Yeah.
So we lived in the country
Uh-huh.
with people until
They fixed
the
it up.
danger was over and we came back to the home.
Yeah. But
And then 1918, there was another war.
no, 14 to 18 was one war.
Yeah, 14 to 18,
Yeah.
kept it. So that's the way we carried on.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything else. That's what I remember. Then I went to work in a store,
In Libau.
Libre, and I was there about until 1921, and I came to Boston.
Uh-huh. What kind of a store did you work in?
A department store.
Oh.
And in 1924, we
Mhm.
got married.
You and Uncle Jack, right?
In 1924, I was cleaning the house, and I was taking some suits to the cleaner
Where was this? In Guelph?
here in
In Guelph.
Guelph. And I take out papers from the pocket, and I find a letter, and it says Gamza. I open up the letter, lo and behold, my boss who I worked for
Where?
wrote to Harry.
In Boston, you mean? Oh, no, from Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they're opening up a big store and they want Rosalie to come and manage the store.
In Latvia.
Yeah. But Uncle Harry sent to Mother. Mother gave it to Jack. We weren't married yet. And Jack did not show me the letter. But when I found the letter and I said, why didn't you show me that Gamze is wanting it?
Yeah.
He says, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
He didn't want you to go back. Well, you had a lot.
But then, after the war, when I was in Miami, you remember there was cleaning, well, a little woman, Leah, Leo, Jewish, and
Wasn't
her mother-in-law worked in Miami with a woman. It's a small world, and she stopped me and she says, you know, Rose, meet a friend of mine. We are staying together. Mrs. Gamza. Oh my goodness, Mrs. Gamza. Do you have anybody in Europe with a name? She says, that's me. I said, that's Rose.
Oh, what a thing.
So she told me a story. She had a little girl with a name, they called her Puppy. Puppy means dolly in German. And a son, a doctor. And they took all the Jewish people from the circle, put them in the, it's a circle, you know, in the middle of the city. The cars drive around.
Oh, yes.
And in the middle, they had, in the summertime, they had tables and cafeterias on the side. And she told me a story. Her boy, the doctor, they took him,
Who, the Germans?
the German, they took him to the circle and they sprayed gasoline on all the Jewish people on the circle, and they asked this fellow to take the gun and easy their death and kill them.
They asked her son.
One son and one daughter.
Yeah,
but
but-
they asked the son,
Oh, yeah, okay.
and he refused. He says, if you don't kill them, we'll kill you. He says, you need not do that. He turned the gun and killed himself.
Oh,
That was, she came with a little girl, with a girl, and here is, she lived in Buffalo.
oh my.
Wexler. She went with Mrs. Wexler. You
Oh,
know
sure,
the
I remember
Wexlers?
Wexlers. Yes,
Lily
from
Wexler?
Guelph. Yeah, you remember David
Of course.
Wexlers, yeah.
Well, Lily Wexler's mother charmed around with this little
Oh
woman.
my goodness.
That was the Europe, that was the finish. If I had gone back, I would have been killed too.
Did you ever learn what happened to your mom and your dad, your mother and father?
Natural death. And a sister,
A sister? Which sister?
Jenny. I had one sister there. Molly couldn't, my sister couldn't come. The visa, she couldn't get a visa because
Yeah.
she had a crippled hand.
Oh, yeah. So Molly came.
So Molly came on the visa.
But did she get married, this Jenny? Did she get married or not? So, but you say they weren't killed in the war then?
No, no.
Because
My
Molly
father-
never talked about them.
No,
She
my
never.
father lived a very, very, very old age.
How old would you say?
I bet my father, the last one who came from Europe, he must have been in his 90s.
And how about your mother?
52.
So young. My, there was quite a difference in their age, wasn't there?
She had gallstone, gallbladder,
Oh,
and if you didn't have the money,
you couldn't get surgery.
couldn't have no operations.
Oh, 52. Oh my. And your sister died when?
I didn't know that.
See, I never knew. I thought they died in the Holocaust, but apparently they died natural.
They
yeah.
died
You know,
naturally.
Mama would never, when I used to ask Mama, please tell me about your childhood, Mama. Because, you know, I would like to, it's nice to know. She would not talk about it.
Who?
My mother.
Your mother?
Yeah. When I asked her, Mom, when you were a little girl, what was it like? She wouldn't talk about it. She wouldn't tell me anything except that she went to Scotland. She was very unhappy, Aunt Rose. She must have been.
She must have been.
Yeah. She must have been.
And then she stayed with the one in Toronto.
Yes.
Now, you know Mary Pickford, the actress?
Yes.
There is a show on Dundas Street in her name.
Yes.
This uncle was a very religious man. And they used to make a chont, you know.
Yes, a chont, and they.
And
That's a bean dish, isn't it, children?
and deposit Friday in the bakery after
Yes.
they threw with the challah, the bread, and overnight
Yes, it had to stay in the oven overnight, right?
Mary Pickford was a little girl about 12 years old. Used to come and make the samovar, you know,
Yeah.
and bring the chont.
Really?
And they give her a nickel, a dime, you know. Mary Pickford, they had just like Jackie Gleason used to have the shows.
Right?
At that time they brought, and she went for a test, and I accepted her.
Oh my.
So Mary Pickford was in Guelph. You were little girls, and she came to Guelph, and she visited Mother.
Oh, I didn't. I remember hearing that. Yeah.
My mother never been one of these talkers.
My mother? No.
Gone, but he's dead. I was the chatterbox.
Yes, I know. Mom never told me that. She used to say Mary Pickford came in on a Friday to light the stove, you know, because Orthodox people don't. That's very interesting. She must have lived on the same street as Uncle Israel,
On Augusta Avenue.
on Augusta Avenue. How do you like that? Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Mama said they were so good to her, Aunt Rose,
Yeah.
that it was her first happy home. Isn't that nice? Yeah.
That's true.
Yes, she really loved them, and they were very, very good to her. Yeah,
When I came from Boston, I took a taxi
yeah.
and I went down right to the Augusta Avenue.
Oh, did you?
I stayed overnight,
Yes.
and on Monday I took the train and I went on to Guelph.
Oh my. Uh-huh.
Your mother with all the children, she went to fetch the kids from school. So I landed at Jossel's place.
Oh, Uncle Joe's, isn't that funny? How did you know where to go?
The taxi driver knew.
What did you ask him, Brown?
I says, I have 87
Gordon Street.
Virgin, but nobody was home. He says, oh, I have Louis, a brother, here, right here on,
Well,
showed me.
Uh-huh.
So I took me out there and dumped me there.
Oh, that's funny.
My mother came in,
Uh-huh.
we cheated her.
Why?
She didn't know me. So, you know, Mortala, remember Uncle Mortala?
Uncle Muttle, or Muttle, you mean your relative?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him. Muttle, what was his last name?
Nichols.
Muttle Nichols. He was a relative of Uncle Jack's.
My mother came up with the children.
Yeah.
He said, Etty, you have a regard here from your sister, Rose from Boston. He didn't tell her that was me.
Yeah.
He didn't want to shock her. Oh, she says, that's nice. And she talked to me, and how is she? And I told her, fine. Well, why the devil doesn't she come to see me?
Oh, I could believe that, yeah.
I said, would you like her to come to see you? So I got up and walked over and took her out and gave her a kiss. That's me.
She must have been so happy.
Oh,
Sure.
your daddy used to write me letters. Don't wait too long. Your sister Etty is not well, and you better come. She had arthritis,
Terrible arthritis, yeah.
and you give her a hand. So I
Uh-huh.
came.
Yeah. But you, how long did you stay? Oh, you never went back, I know that. But you, Uncle Jack decided that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Do you remember in the house on Gordon Street, Aunt Rose? That was my first, Dad got a radio. My first radio that I ever heard. I must have been about 6 or 7. And it was in the parlor. And we used to each, you couldn't hear the radio unless you wore earphones. So everybody took a turn to listen to the radio, and you and Uncle Jack were there. That's the house that your boyfriend came to on Gordon Street. The boyfriend from Boston. I don't know whether you know this story, David. Aunt Rose came to, well, you can tell. She came to Guelph just to visit from Boston.
I had so many boyfriends
I would believe it.
in Boston that wanted to go with me, but I wasn't ready. I thought of going home, back. So of course, I ignored everything. But here comes Uncle Jack.
No, but you had a boyfriend when you left Boston. You had a boyfriend.
This boyfriend was not a boyfriend
Oh, just a
exactly.
friend.
His sister Ray and I went to school together. So in a rainy day, he used to come with the umbrella and take me from school, take me down to my house,
Oh,
and then go home with his sister. But in time, he got it his mind, being I don't go with anybody, that I am his girlfriend. I didn't know that.
mhm.
So when I came to Canada,
To Guelph.
to Guelph, I was free. And he nearly got nuts. He wanted me to come back and get married. And he was talking to Jack, and he was telling Jack, you know, Mr. Adler, if you knew the boy that is after her I would like to speak to him and ask him to let her go home.
And Uncle Jack was the one that was after you.
He says, you know, Sam, if it happens to me, and I go with a girl, and she leaves me, I wouldn't want her back. I wouldn't trust her. But it happened so. He came, and it was a tragedy. He landed mentally in a hospital.
But I remember him coming. First of all, you came to Guelph, and Uncle Jack took one look at you and decided you were his girlfriend. He was going to marry you. Yeah?
On Tuesday, on Monday was Labor Day. On Tuesday, Uncle Jack comes into Mother's house and comes right over, takes me around. He says, what did it take you that long to come? I said, who are you?
He's a good-looking young man.
Yeah. He's a good man. I said, who are you? He takes her the picture.
Your picture.
He says, I carried this for 2 years waiting for you and you're not coming. Now you're not going home. And that's what happened.
That's what happened. But you see, I remember, you tell me if I'm right, on 87 Gordon Street, suddenly this man comes in. You know, I'm a child, I don't know what was going on, but he was your boyfriend from Boston. And you were upstairs, and he was pleading with you to come back. And I don't know what you told him, but we had a stairway. There were steps, and there was a landing, and steps again. And he started to go down the stairs, and he fell. And he fell down onto the landing, because I remember being so excited. And Aunt Rose, am I wrong? Did he have a gun with him? A gun? Did he have a gun? No? I don't know why, in the back of my memory.
He said, if I'm not coming back, he's coming back with a gun and shoot me.
See, that's what it was. Yeah, it was very sad, very hard for you. But he went back.
But
Uh-huh.
I was really afraid.
I'm sure you were. And if he was mentally disturbed,
Well, then when he landed in New York in a hospital, the doctor phoned me,
really,
one of the doctors, that maybe if I come back, I was married already, maybe it would help him come back to
my.
marry. But I needed never
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Well, you were married then. That was a hard choice. Yeah.
And Uncle Jack I didn't know why Uncle Jack said, don't open the door when somebody raps at the door unless you know who it is.
Oh, he was worried.
He was worried.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many
That was quite a
everybody-
story.
Yeah.
I remember, yeah, that was really a story. When you lived in Europe, in Latvia, Aunt Rose, you didn't leave till you were about 20, right? How old were you when you left?
21.
21. How was it economically there? Was it a hard life? How were the economics? Was it a booming city after the war, or was it not so good?
It was good. It was a beautiful city.
Was it really?
Anybody who came from there that I met here in the shul as a member, and he said, I hear you come from Libo. I said, yes. He says, what made you leave a city like that?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so beautiful.
Well,
it was a
who did it-
beautiful
Who
city.
did it belong to by that time? Because it was always between the Germans and the Russians. When you went to Libo, to live-
Latvia.
Latvia, but when you went to live, did it belong to Russia, or was it independent?
Russia.
Russia. And then the Germans often came in.
Then the Germans, then the Latvian, then the Russian again.
And then finally it became independent?
No,
Never?
Russian.
Russian. Is that so? Well, I remember how when Mom came over, how, after all, she married Dad, and they were Russian, and they spoke Yiddish. They always teased my mother because she talked like a Latvian. She'd say tish, no, tis instead of tish,
Like Lithuanian.
Lithuanian, uh-huh. Yeah, they didn't say the SH. They said fish instead of fish.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so they always knew if somebody came from Lithuania.
Lithuanian.
And then
Because-
ask her about the boat trip.
What?
Boat trip, ask her about the trip.
Oh, David is asking what your trip over on the boat was like, on the ship.
Beautiful.
Yes?
Gorgeous.
Was it? How long did it take you?
14 days.
Now, Mama does not remember a good trip. She didn't remember. In fact, Daddy would have liked to have traveled and gone to Europe. She said, I'll never go back again. So I don't think she had a good trip over from Scotland. I don't think so, Aunt Rose. Or maybe when she went to Scotland, I don't know. But she wouldn't travel.
We had the fortress. You know what means a fortress? Military city.
Oh, you had
They-
was it a military city? Uh-huh.
They had the cathedrals. You could see from the city the top copper in the summertime, the sun. With well, we had the Magdubit, but they had their
The dome, the cross.
dome. It was an old city and a new city, and it was beautiful.
Well, did you go, were your father and mother very religious? Did they go to shul?
No, they're conservative.
But you went to shul Yontif?
Yeah.
When? Yom Kippur and,
Every Saturday. My father
yeah.
took the boys,
Oh,
not the girls,
yes.
and they went to shul. It's a conservative shul. They don't drove on Saturday.
No.
They don't smoke on Saturday.
Yeah.
They don't cook on Saturday.
Well, did your father speak Hebrew?
No,
No, just Yiddish.
nobody spoke
He
Hebrew.
spoke Yiddish and Latvian.
Yiddish, Russian.
Was there a Latvian language too?
Yeah,
Do you remember it?
not too much.
Yeah. Was it hard? Was it different?
It wasn't necessary.
Yes. Sure.
That was not that was a peasant language for the
Oh.
farmers.
Oh, I see, like a dialect. When you came over, though, could you speak English?
A little bit. My lady of the store
Uh-huh.
that he married was from London,
Oh,
and 2 years
uh-huh.
with her coming to the store with a little girl and speaking to her English, I learned quite a bit when I came.
See, that's why you went into a department store in Guelph then, because you had some experience.
Yeah.
I see, Aunt Rose.
Yeah.
It would be,
I wasn't lost.
no, you had a business head right from the beginning.
How did
Yeah.
she get suppliers?
Oh,
Excuse me,
How
what
did
did?
she get suppliers? Starting a store, you gotta have suppliers.
Oh,
How did she?
when you started business, Aunt Rose, Uncle Jack knew anything about the business or just, no? Then how did you go? I remember your first store was on,
McDonald Street. Oh
Yeah.
no, no. Under the subway, a little store.
where under the subway, Aunt
You
Rose?
know,
I know, on Gordon Street.
to go to Gordon is before.
Yes. Oh, yeah, there was a little store, his father had a little store there.
That's the store we had to begin with.
Oh, I thought his father had it, you had it, and then you gave it to the father.
That's right.
So, when you started that store, how did you start? You had to get merchandise, you had to get, how did you start it, Aunt Rose?
I started 9 months before we got married.
Is that so? But you knew you were going to be married.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Well, what was Uncle Jack doing at that time, Aunt Rose?
peddling with the suitcases.
Oh, so
Door
then
to
you
door.
decided on a store. So then how did you get supplies?
Uh, when I met my future mother-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
I came into her. I found out the section where all the manufacturers, all the stores,
Oh, she lived in Toronto, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how, yeah.
Clara's, and I went in to different places. I introduced myself as a girl. I told them the truth. I am poor as a church mouse. I have nothing, but I'm going to be married, and I like to try to open up a little business and see what I can do before marriage. And he said, what would you like? And I told him. He took me around the factory. Bradshaw factory. Remember?
Bradshaw shirts, wasn't there Bradshaw shirts?
No, Bradshaw wholesale.
Oh, yeah.
William Bradshaw. He was a guy. And he sat down and I sat down and we talked it over. He says, little girl, no problem. Do you have the store? I says, yes. He wrote down what I would like, what I picked out. And he says, you're going to get it tomorrow. I says, but what am I going to do if I don't sell and cannot make the payments? You don't have to worry, I'm a rich guy, I'll wait for you.
Oh my, he must have been very impressed. Well, what did you order? Men's things and women's?
Small things, children's, little towels, small things, you know.
Uh-huh. Right.
And he came along a couple of days later to see, and he says, you need more merchandise. And he sent me merchandise without asking me any money or any
Wow.
collateral. He was my hero.
Wow. Now, how did you get to be known? What did you do? Did you advertise? What did you do?
All I had is open up the little store with on the window, open for business.
What did you call it? Adler's?
Yeah. Oh no, Little Eden's.
That was a lot of initiative. Little Eden's, that's clever.
Eden's came along and pleaded to take the name off. And I did it. And then I put it on Adler's.
Yes.
I could have taken a lot of money from Eden's. I didn't have to. Because
Sure.
there was a coal yard in Guelph by the name Little Eden's.
I didn't know.
Yeah. However, that's the way I started it.
Aunt Rose, wasn't it the first store, like we lived on Norfolk Street much later, and you were just in front on, what was the name of that street that the store was on?
McDonald Street.
McDonald.
No.
Weren't you near the subway? Right near the subway in front?
I don't remember the name.
I don't remember that
McDonald?
name, but no.
McDonald, no.
It joined McDonald. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter, but I remember it was coincidental that later on Dad bought the house away in the back there. But when I remembered the store, your father-in-law had it, and you were already on, what's the name of the, Wyndham Street.
McDonald Street.
And then you went to Wyndham Street. Yeah.
Well, Bradshaw put me to Wyndham Street.
Really? Oh, he stayed with you.
Yeah. You know, the fellow who had a store was Hood and Vanilla, a grocery store,
Oh,
a farmer store, anything you wanted, dishes upstairs, you know, he had 3 floors. And when we got married, I didn't have a nickel. I went in and I spoke to Hood and I told him who I am, Louis Brown's sister-in-law. I told him I came from Boston. I'm going to remain in Guelph. And I'm going to make my own wedding. But I haven't got a nickel to my name. And I need a lot of things. And he asked me what I need, and I told him. He says, I'm going to give you everything you have on paper, and I won't charge you. That was Hood of Benellic. But if you break a dish, then you'll have to pay for the broken one. But if not, this is my wedding gift to
You must have had an awful lot of charm and personality.
I went with the truth.
Uh-huh.
This is my present to you. And don't worry that you have to certain time to pay off, whenever you'll be able to. So I paid him. Later on, this very man calls Jack and I up to come over to his house. And I says, what does he want of me? What is...
Mhm.
He said, children, we are going to liquidate and retire. And we want you to take our store. I says, Mr. Wood, that amounts with money. I haven't got that kind of rental. He says, I didn't ask you for rental. I just asked your consent that you take the store. And I talked to Bradshaw, and he says, take it. And it was $25 a month.
My.
And he fixed up, they
That
had
was on Wyndham Street.
three windows.
What year?
What year was that?
God knows. Must have been
In the 20s.
after the Depression year, 1928.
Yes, the Depression went into the 30s.
And that's the time
Uh-huh.
right after. And I says to Bradshaw, it's a store, a big store. I'll fill it up. And he did. And that's the way I started. And thank God my names were good. Everybody trusted me. Everybody liked us. And we carried on.
I worked in that
They-
store, Aunt Rose.
Mhm.
I worked in that store. You were so nice, you used to, each one of us used to go in.
Yeah, Berkey was cute. Berkey was at the door.
Was what?
Berkey
Uh-huh.
was a baby, a small kid. And I told him to watch if people wouldn't steal. So he was at the door and he saw a woman taking a pair of spats. Remember the shoes?
Yes, we wore spats.
And put it in the bag. And he stopped her. And he wouldn't let her go. He says, Uncle Jack, come over here. A woman stole a pair of spats.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Oh, is that cute.
Yeah.
But you know
that's-
what else Uncle Jack did, Aunt Rose? When I went to help you, I'm behind the counter, and he says, here, Min. And he hands me a ball of string, but it was all tangled. He says, untangle that for me. Well, what was I going to do? My uncle asked me to. I don't know how long I spent, but I untangled the whole thing and put it together again. And all he said was, that's good. In other words, I had the patience to do it. Isn't that a funny memory, Aunt Rose?
That's what they did it with me too.
Or did he? Yeah.
To
He
teach
just wanted to
patience.
see,
Yeah.
he wanted
teach
to see,
patience.
huh?
To teach patience.
To teach patience.
And when Huda Benelek, later years, Wolfand went to Huda Benelek and wants to buy the building.
Yes.
He says, I'm not selling the building. He says, I'll give you so much. He says, even if you give me $100,000, you cannot buy the building. He says, why? The building I'm going to give it to is to Rose and Jack Adler. It's in the will. But $18,000. But if Rose and Jack Adler don't want the bill, then the children can sell it wherever they want to. But we didn't. We wanted to go to the city so bad to be between the Jewish people that we didn't care, and we did not take the building. We should have taken the 18,000.
Sure. But Aunt Rose, you were on one side of Wyndham, and didn't you go over to the
Yeah.
other side? So
Yeah.
which building was this?
On the right side and the good side.
Yeah, that was the good side. That was his building. But you were, before that, you were on the other side.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember
And then
that.
there was a cone next door.
Which cone was that? Henry?
Henry
Oh,
Cone.
yeah, I remember him.
Rotten skunk.
Was he? A big man.
When we, Celia,
Yeah.
when we kept Jontif closed,
Oh, he didn't.
he used to stay outside and coax the people to come in to his place,
But he had,
ladies' wear.
oh, didn't he have jewelry? No, lady. Oh, so he took your customers.
You know what he used to say? We can wait till the kids open up the store.
Oh,
We wouldn't buy it.
is
He
that-
told us himself.
Is that
Just
so?
ask
What
Aunt
did
Rose.
you do to them that they wouldn't come in even if
I
you
know.
please?
Well, you were very good to your people, though. What,
Ask her who else in the family worked in the store.
Aunt Rose, who else in the family worked in the store? I know I worked sometimes, and Bert came. Did Ruth work in the store? I don't think so. No. Yeah. We just came to, I just remember going in occasionally, but that was,
No,
that was
we
it.
had.
Aunt Rose, I remember you gave me my first job in the store on Saturday.
Really?
Did I?
My first job. I used to come in on Saturday. I think you paid me $5. for
That
the
was a lot of
Saturday. It was
money.
a lot of money. You were very generous. And I dusted the shirt boxes.
Oh, I didn't know
That
that,
was a lot
David.
of money.
You
Worked
didn't
there
say.
Because the
Saturdays.
girls all week got $11 a week.
For the week. I
Yeah.
think you gave me $5 for the whole day.
And did you sell it all?
I think I started to. I was only about 10 or 12, so it was
Uh-huh.
around 1950.
Isn't
Yeah, but
that?
you gave me the first start.
Isn't that
And
nice?
I was up north at Robinson's, a general store in Huntsville, or no, it was in Dorset, last weekend. And when I walked through the shoe section, it smelled the same as your store. The
Where?
shoes.
Oh,
I was up north last weekend.
that's
And you sold shoes, and when you walk past leather shoes, the tan leather shoes,
yeah,
they have a smell. It's a nice smell.
yeah, leather.
Wooden floors
Leather.
and a leather smell, and I
Right.
had a flashback to your store on Wyndham Street.
Oh my, Aunt Rose, you see? Isn't that nice?
Well, that's history.
That is history, right?
It's history.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to ask you just a few things. What do you remember about Mom and Dad? About Mama when you first came, and how you were close, you and Mom?
Do you know, when I stepped foot on Quell, I slept over the night. And on Tuesday, Uncle Jack came in and picks up a glass of wine and said, "L'chaim." I knew I'm not going back to Boston.
Really?
Well, this is my mind.
Uh-huh.
In Boston, I have got a lot of cousins. They adore me. They're good to me. I have an auntie, but you cannot beat a sister.
Well, they were on the singer side, like on your mother's side. But that's right, you couldn't beat a sister. And Mama felt the same way. A sister. You were her sister. I know that. You were close. Yeah.
I just put step and I says, I have a sister and I'm going to stay with my sister.
Yeah.
Even though they kept writing to come back, I says, no, that's a sister.
Isn't that-
Even if it wasn't Uncle Jack,
You would have stayed.
but I was ready to remain in Canada.
Isn't that interesting? To come from a big city to a small town. It was.
I love that small town. I was brought up in a big city,
Uh-huh.
but when I get up in the morning and smell the dew from the grass,
Mhm.
I just loved it.
Doesn't
I
that-
don't need a big city. I only need the family.
Well, where did they live when you came? Were they on Norfolk Street already? I think so. Do you remember when you first? No, they were on Gordon Street.
Garden, 87
87.
gardens.
Then they went to Wellington Street.
Wellington?
Yeah, don't you remember they built that bungalow where Uncle Joe lived?
Oh, yeah.
And then they moved to Norfolk Street. Yeah. But in between the two, Dad bought the Ramsey house.
Yeah.
And Mom moved in, a big house. They moved in. Mom took one look. It was dirty. And I think she stayed 2 days. Called the mover and moved back again. 2 days or a week, yeah. Then later he bought the Grigg home, and that was the one on Norfolk Street, right near the tracks. You remember that one, David, don't
Up
you?
the hill.
Up the hill. Yes.
That's when Berkey hit
Yeah.
Jackie
Hellwig. Yeah.
in and threw him down the hill.
Oh, and he called it a barg. He used to call the hill, Burke was so funny, he spoke Yiddish because the folks always talked Yiddish to him. And he'd go out to play with Jackie, and Jackie would call it a hill, and Burke would say, no, it's a barg, because he knew Yiddish.
Yeah.
It was, that Burke has been in touch with Jackie Hellwig.
I was just wondering.
Yes, he has. He'll have to tell you. He has been in touch with him.
But I'll tell you the story about Jackie. He
He
comes
was a
up.
neighbor, David.
He comes up the mountain to play with him, and Berkey had a little sailor suit on, a little pair of white pants and a little midi, and long curls. Remember?
I remember that one.
I have the you have the
Yes,
picture.
somewhere. I gave it to Ruth, to my aunt. Ruth has it anyway.
Yeah. And he said, "You're a dirty Jew.
Who said that? Jackie? To Burke?
Why am I?" It was like this. I am clean. No. Why am I a dirty Jew? You killed our Lord, Jesus. He says, I killed. How can I kill? I'm a little boy. They started to fight. And he gave him a hit in the mouth, and he threw him down, and he rolled down the hill,
Jackie rolled down.
and he was bleeding. And he runs into the house, and the woman comes over,
The mother?
the mother, so what happened? Why did you hit him? Because he said, I'm a dirty Jew. Dr. McKinnon was a doctor at that time. They called the Dr. McKinnon. The Dr. McKinnon comes over. He had to give him a stitch. And fix him. He says, I'd like to know what happened. Why did you throw him down the hill? Or it says he called me a dirty Jew, that I killed Jesus, his Lord. How can can I kill? I'm a little boy, I can't kill. Then it takes Jackie. He says, Jackie, why did you tell Berkey that Berkey killed Jesus, your Lord? He says, my mother always, when she has company, she always sits and talks about the Jew. And she said the Jewish people killed their Lord. Oh, he says, there is where it comes from. It's what the people bring up the children.
Right.
He says, Mrs.
Hallway.
Halvey, is it true? Yes, I do. Now, Jesus was a Jew. And if the Jewish people killed him, why did you make him for a Lord? Why did you accept him for a Lord? Why didn't you tell the Jewish people to bury him? Why did you take it away and made a Lord out of him?
Dr. McKinnon said this.
Yeah,
Good man.
Dr. McKinnon.
Smart.
I'll never forget it.
Isn't that something?
She says, you better tell, they were Catholics, you better tell your priest to take the Lord out of his Bible and to believe in the Ten Commandments. You'd make a better Catholic.
That's a lovely story.
Yeah, that's
That
what
was
I'm
very
thinking.
nice. And she was always friendly with the family.
Absolutely.
Isn't that? But this is what
Yeah,
she believed.
but she's not really wrong. That's the way it goes.
Oh yeah, that's the way they believed.
Yeah.
But they never. A lot of Catholics were very shocked that Jesus was a Jew, because he
My
never.
neighbor, what was his name? He was a president of the Metropolitan Insurance. Lived next door on Park Avenue. And a crane attorney lived here.
Who?
A crane attorney.
Oh yeah, Crown Attorney. Yeah.
This one was a doll. He just loved us. But the wife of this one was a Catholic. And she used to take the children, as little as they are, around 5 o'clock in the morning to church. None of my business. And she wouldn't even say good morning over the fence. Never bothered. But I always, if I saw her, I don't care if she says good morning or not. I said, good morning, Mrs. Bain. Lovely morning. Then it came the robe, a play. If you can remember.
Yes.
One day, I see Mrs. Bain in the front door. Well, I got scared. I really got scared. I thought she'll come and say, get the hell out of Park Avenue. And she comes in. I'd like to have a cup of tea with you, and I want to discuss. And she discussed the picture of the robe, where it shows that the Arabs, the Roman, they're the ones who captured Jesus and killed him, not the Jewish people. Now, I want to be friends with you. And I also want to be friends with you because you never wash clothes and hang out on Sunday. But I do wash clothes on Saturday and hang out on But from now on, I'm not going to wash clothes on Saturday when it's your holiday. And we became just like that.
Isn't that something?
You'll be surprised but you have to use ecology.
Oh, yes. You have to.
You have to use ecology.
And you were wise. You didn't, because she acted one way, you didn't choose to act that
I
way.
didn't.
So she was open to it when she found out.
But I did say to a girl when I worked in my cousin Max's office in Boston, she was an Italian girl. She came back crying at a machine where I worked that she lost Jesus. Where? She said, in the toilet. I said, goody, goody, goody. Isn't that wonderful? She says, why? I says, for 50 cents you can go in and buy another Jesus, but we cannot buy our Lord.
Very good. Yeah.
I says, remember, believe in one God, not in Jesus. He cannot do anything for you. All he can is break the chain and go down the toilet. You have Jesus in the toilet, lean down and pray. Let him come up. See if he'll come up.
And Rose, you really gave it to her.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've been through a lot in my life.
Oh, I'm sure, Aunt
But
Rose.
nobody was mad at me.
No?
I mean, when I lectured, Schofield, Professor Schofield on my, I think it was, maybe I'm not mentioning the right name, so the wife from a professor came in to buy some things for the little boy. They used to love, because we had all children.
I know.
Well, and do you remember Jackie Cooper?
Yes.
We gave Bertie a little suit.
Mm-hmm.
He wears Jackie
Jackie Cooper hat. Yeah.
cap
That was the actor. Mhm.
and a little tweed suit.
Yes, there's a picture of him in that tweed
That's
suit.
right. And this is what had happened. He says, Mommy, I want this cap.
Who said that? Bert? Or the man? Oh, the man, Schofield,
The
the
baby.
professors, yeah.
The professor's little boy. Gee, you can't have it. He says, Mommy, I want Jackie Cooper's hat. You can't have it. Why? You look like a Jew when you put on the cap.
Did he know you were Jewish?
I'll let her say that. And finally, I says, if I remember the name was something else. I says, Mrs. So-and-so, what do you think a Jew looks like? She says, I don't know. Well, if you say he looks like a Jew, you must know what he looks like. Do you think he's got horns here and a tail here? I picked up my skirt and I said, have a look. She says, what do you mean? I said, I am Jewish. My husband is Jewish. And you were dealing here so many years, and you don't know what a Jew is like. Ezekiel was great. And she really got a hold of the baby's hand and went out the store. She didn't run out. And she came home and she told her husband what happened. Her husband came over with her and with a boy. And he said, Jackie, he said to the boy, what cap do you want? This one, Jackie Coogan cap, put it on. Oh my, you look wonderful. What did you have an argument with Mrs. Adler? And she said, apologize. They had a paper factory beside his profession in Guelph. Boxes, paper. They're my best customers. I didn't ask whether they're Jewish or Catholics or Protestants. I didn't ask whether this belongs to Jackie Coogan and you look like a Jew. And you better apologize. And you're going to deal with the Adlers. Well, how did you come to that stage to say Jackie Coogan? Well, when we were small, my mother, if she didn't want to go to bed, my mother used to say, if you don't go to bed, I'm calling up Ike the Jew, and he's going to put you in the bag and throw you in the river. And she believed it. I said, and a university graduate woman, aren't you ashamed of yourself?
Stays with people.
They remained customers, all right.
Yeah.
But see what we had to,
Oh, yeah.
but you had to use logic.
Oh, you had to use logic, and you had to not be angry, but make sense, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
And
Well,
that's
there
the
was
way
a
we
lot
did.
of that anti-Semitism in those years, and
Oh, and how?
all over, right? Well, but Dad somehow, my dad, he was able to be friends with
Everybody.
and
Everybody.
everybody liked him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one thing.
Yes, he really had the personality, and it didn't matter to him. And I remember he dressed up like Santa Claus for Christmas.
The art fellows came along and wants us to join the art fellows. Jack said to this fellow, to the noble Gren, very lovely, very beautiful. It's awfully nice of you, but I think I'll have to stay put. Why? I'm Jewish. My wife is Jewish. My family are Jewish. And if you'll enroll me as to get in as a member, and if one person thinks that they don't want a Jew, they'll put a black little ball out they go. That will hurt my business. Everybody will know they're blackjacked, they're Jewish, and my business, I can't afford it. We cannot afford it. We worked very, very hard. Oh, this not what it is. I'll guarantee you'll get in with 100%. But I'm not taking no for an answer. We want you as a member. And we consented.